Hi everyone and welcome back. So this is the second last video of this series, and here we are going to talk about nestjs microservices, and we are going to talk about AMQP protocol. So in the last video we talked about simple two services talking to one another using TCP protocol. Here we are going to have two microservices. One is a microservice server, another is microservice client, and they are going to talk to each other on the AMQP protocol. So what I did is I created this Docker Compose for this simple setup of RabbitMQ. So when you do the Docker Compose up, we will be running this container. You can see this is the Docker Compose, and here we are going to talk about simple microservices, like same as the last video. We also talked about one server and one client. Nothing much has changed from that service. The only thing here is, instead of TCP, we are going to do the communication on the AMQP. So this is the microservice app. I haven't written any fancy code here. It's a very basic bare bone application. Here you can see in the main.ts, this is my basic setup looks like, right? So here I have created a microservice which is going to use RMQ protocol, and going to be, that is a transport, and AMQP is the protocol. So this is my connection URL for the RabbitMQ. AMQP username, password, host port, and your virtual host name, and the queue name to which you will be posting to which this particular service is listening to. So this is like a queue. So somebody will be posting here, and this particular service is listening the messages, right? So we have created a client is simple. What it is doing is, in the app module.ts, you can see this client. Here this is the client, so it is registering to a particular service, because client will register to a service which we already know. So like we have already created a server side logic, service 2, which is actually listening to the AMQP, to the RabbitMQ. So this is the client. This is going to listen, this is going to connect to that second microservice. So the name is hello service, transport is AMQP, so RMQ, and the options, these options are the helpers. Like this is going to give more information about the service. Okay, this is the URL to which we are going to connect, because the transport is RMQ. We need options which will contain the URL, which will show the connection string, the queue name, all these things. So this is our microservice client, and it is going to post a message to this particular connection of a RabbitMQ. And if you see in the controller, we have simple HTTP GET. It is connecting to the client, and it is doing a simple emit. So whatever we were doing using TCP, it's same. We in the TCP also we were doing this.client.emit. Now it is RMQ, but still we are doing this.client.emit. So this particular message, instead of directly going to the servers, directly going to the second microservice, it will be sent to this RabbitMQ, and there is another microservice server. The receiver side of the microservice. This is listening, because while bootstrapping this particular microservice, we have already provided that this microservice will use RMQ, and these options will make it as a listener service. So whenever any event is occurring, so if you see this particular controller, whenever there is any event is coming, because this is a listener service, it is listening to the RabbitMQ. Whenever any event is occurring, it is going to handle that message printed event, and it is going to just execute it in console.log text. So we are sending the hello world from the client controller. So this is our RabbitMQ client. From here, if you see, we are sending hello message printed and sending the message object. This client.image will send this payload to the RabbitMQ. Okay, and then we have a listener. Listener is a listener microservice which is already listening to this particular connection string of a RabbitMQ. The queue name is this, the virtual host is this, and we have already created a user. So if you see the Docker Compose YML here, we have already provided an environment. So in the .env we are saying, okay, default user is admin localhost. So if we just see, this is our container running, this is our microservice which is a client, this is a microservice server. Okay, And we will also take a look onto the RabbitMQ console. This is our client application. This is a RabbitMQ console. Okay, here you can create a new queue by going to the queue. I just created a user messages. This is the queue name, and you can create a simple virtual host, which is like hello is a virtual host I have created, and admin is the logged in user. So that is the connection string, and we are actually looking at this particular queue. So if you just take a look onto the connections, we can see there are two connections, right? And the queues of messages are also being posted. So if we just go to our container, and sorry, if we just go to web browser and we'll try to reload this, this is going to hit HTTP GET onto the client microservice. Okay, and this will is going to emit a message that is going to post to RabbitMQ, and there is a listener microservice who is going to listen to this message. So here you can see we keep getting this hello world. I will just reload this again just for the demo purpose. So here we are actually hitting the client. This message is being posted to the RabbitMQ, and then there is a listener. So you can see the hello world is getting printed, right? A simple bare bone structure of the nestjs microservices. We haven't done much. It's just like nestjs out of the box supporting these kind of communications. So we don't have to write a lot of custom logic to do a connection with the RabbitMQ, write a listener, write a consumer, right? So one is a consumer who is listening to the RabbitMQ, and one is a producer who is producing these messages and writing it to the RabbitMQ queue. We are not doing that. We are just writing a microservice client which is emitting the event, which has a connection to the RabbitMQ. The MQ message, I mean the message is going to the RabbitMQ, and there is a microservice, so another microservice which is listening to this. So this is our client, and this is our main service. Okay, and it is just listening to those set of events. In the controller you can see event pattern. So whenever this event is coming, it is already listening to the RabbitMQ. So it will just receive each and every message whenever the event received. So you can see nice and clean out of the box support for the microservices, and most of the microservices communicate either using grpc, either using this event based pattern where you are sending the event, there is a RabbitMQ or kafka or something, and there is a listener microservice. Or you might be using just a simple TCP, or two microservices are talking to one another on the HTTP layer by talking using REST APIs. Okay, so this is all about a different set of microservices and different protocols. You can explore more. Nestjs microservice is a package which provides all these out of the box functionalities where two microservices can communicate with one another on a different protocols. Okay, so thanks everyone. What I will do is I have created all these POCs and demos, and I am showing them since this whole series. I will post this on the GitHub, and we'll share this link in the description also. Okay, thanks everyone. The last thing we are going to talk about is nestjs CQRS and maybe nestjs GraphQL. So CQRS I will be covering, and GraphQL we will be exploring. That is the two topics are left. Okay, thanks everyone.